The only way you get more comfort when you sleep is to get a ghost bed from ghostbed.com/Drinkin Bros. 40% off the bundle package. Also, if you just want 30% off everything in the entire store, just type in the promo code Drinkin Bros at checkout. You can put sheets in there. The pillows, the cooling pillows are amazing, especially because it's 1,000,000 degrees here in Texas. So is the cooling mattress, which you can also put in the cart and get 30% off if you just want just the mattress or just the adjustable base. Go to ghostbed.com/Drinkin Bros today. Welcome to Drinkin Bros, kids. Who do we got today, D'Anthony? We got Primetime on the show?
Well, it's not Deion Sanders. It's Primetime Stein.
Okay.
Who's, probably the better of the two.
I would say his 40. How's your 40? Is it better than Deion's?
It's only about now. It's probably 5.9. I'm probably in the 6-second range. I think the fastest I ever ran it was like 5 flat, basically. But yeah, guys, obviously, and then people talk about I'm from Dallas, Texas. The reason why I call myself Primetime 99 Alexander is I love Deion Sanders. He was a hero in Dallas. But now, and I still like him, now that he's coaching, I have some respect for him. But I guess the Cowboys of the 90s, the Emmitt Smith era, the Troy Aikman era, it's like, don't meet your heroes. Now they kind of all suck. Like Troy Aikman's kind of annoying.
Yeah, they're all dead now. Deion's missing 3 toes. He got three toes chopped off.
Amputated. Yeah, amputated. Yeah, he was in that, that crawler, that walker thing, where you bend your knee. It's basically like a stroller. And then the only reason when I say that is like Troy Aikman now is like one of the biggest broadcasters, but he's not as good a broadcaster as Tony Romo. But Troy Aikman's like a big social justice warrior. He's not very cool. He's kind of annoying. And then Emmitt Smith, dude, Emmitt Smith, when I was a young kid, I saw him at the State Fair of Texas and asked him for an autograph, and I was a little kid, and he said no. and Troy Aikman, I was running, and now I've gained a little bit of weight, but this is 2.5 years ago, right before COVID started. I was in a marathon, and Troy Aikman was in it, and I asked him for a picture, and I'm an adult, but you figured at a marathon he'd be nice. He said no, too. So all these guys keep denying me, so yeah, I'm kind of mad at my heroes.
That's unbelievable. With Troy Aikman, I heard he was a secret Republican. Is that not true?
I don't know. Like, I know that there was just a leaked audio of him, and you guys can pull it up, or people can look it up, where it's like the planes are flying by. They always do the flybys at sporting events. And he's like, yeah, well, this won't be happening under Joe Biden. And it was why Trump was president. We're still president, basically forecasting that Trump was going to lose and that it was a waste of money. So I don't know. Maybe he's a secret. He's rich. He should be a Republican. He doesn't want to pay more in taxes. But honestly, dude, the politics, I don't even care if you have different politics, but Troy Aikman's just kind of gay. He won't take a picture with me. So that's why I personally don't like him.
Well, we'll let him know. Let him know.
More importantly, according to Michael Irvin, when he was on the show,
sure,
Troy wouldn't do the cocaine.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you, a fucking cop?
Yeah.
That's
like, how do I know you're cool if you don't snort this cocaine?
If you're not doing the cocaine, are we really friends?
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And Tom Brady's freebasing some cocaine. Tom Brady's not afraid to do
Tom Brady, he's
win a championship.
He's smoking crystal meth out of a fucking light bulb, dude.
Oh, no, he's adrenochrome. That guy's got to be drinking toddler blood.
He's on adrenaline. I see you guys are based. Obviously, he's on the anti-aging formula. I don't know how he does it. Somebody said a stat that he's thrown more yards past his 40th birthday than Roger Staubach through his whole career.
Oh, no shit. Well, probably, right? They didn't used to throw back in the day. So it's tough to put those guys on the same level.
I always say that Aikman is like one of the most overrated quarterbacks of all time. His career high in touchdown passes is 23.
Different era.
Like, fuck off, dude.
You had Emmitt Smith.
I don't care.
It's tough. You're one of the greatest running backs of all time. It's tough.
23? You can throw 23 touchdowns on accident.
I get it. Did Baker Mayfield throw 23 last year?
He threw 27 in his rookie season.
Yeah, and then it was all downhill after that.
Well, it was downhill that year, too.
Yeah.
Just a slightly less gradual.
I think you guys are right, though. When you had Emmitt Smith, whenever they got close, they always gave Emmitt Smith the ball. Like, that was just kind of the thing. They didn't throw the fade route back then in the end zone. It was like always Emmitt. So
that dude's a fucking monster.
He is. By the way, where are you? There's a roaring fire behind you. It's about 112 in Texas now.
Definitely real.
I'm sweating my balls off, too. It's hot up here. I got my freaking little AC machine. It's still not going well. It's 100. According to my Apple Watch, it's 103 in Dallas right now.
Oof.
And yeah, no, I'm sweating my ass off. Luckily, this is a green screen, so this is fake as shit. So that's why, yeah, this is my house. There's my cat tree right there.
Okay.
So yes, this is all fake. I'm Primetime 99. This is all a facade. This is all just a mind fuck.
The way you're going now, you sound like Alex Jones. Oh, don't worry about it. Everything behind me is not real. It's a facade. Everything's going on. Are you following the trial, by the way?
Oh my gosh, we're talking about the trial. I was just there. Okay.
Were you
Let me
really?
tell you something. Yeah, I was. I actually went to the trial and I posted, some footage on my Twitter, Alex Stein 99, if anybody wants to see. And I talked to him, shook his hand outside the courtroom. But dude, I'm a big Alex Jones fan. Like even if you don't believe his conspiracies, I remember before I even believed him, I grew up like a Howard Stern fan, right? And Howard Stern had him on his show. Yeah, of course, everybody. Howard Stern's the best in the 90s, the E! Show. And that's why you guys probably talking to a microphone, because he was so funny. I think he encouraged a lot of us to become broadcasters. But my point being is, when he was just like this wild guy that nobody believed, I used to like Alex Jones. Before I believed in any conspiracy whatsoever, before the pandemic, before Trump, before any of that, I used to think he was funny, right? You guys, we can't do a podcast without my cat. I rescue cats. This is Sky Bear. This is the #1 cat in my cat rankings.
Are you single or are you dating anyone? Be honest.
Oh, I'm single. Oh, yeah. But
no
hey,
shit.
Dude,
as soon as you held up the cat, I was like, you're single. Fucking single.
Of course, everybody says that, but dude, I'm telling you, I'm swimming in women with their own condominium, like Biggie Smalls says. It's almost terrible because then I have these nasty hoes that want to sleep with me because I have 100,000 followers on Instagram, and I can't say no. And dude, I'm not even trying to say this as a cool thing; it's a negative thing. Then I wake up, I'm either at their house or they're at my house. I'm trying to get them away from me, and then I had to go to the STD clinic. Then I had to go get the needle, and I don't trust these doctors too. So it's like, dude, having the random sex it's annoying. I need to actually go back to when I was dating. But I don't know about y'all's love life. It's kind of hard to date when I'm constantly traveling. I'm constantly like creating content. So I'm so self-involved. It takes up all my time.
Well, the good news is I think there's a guy that's putting out some instructional videos. Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
Is putting out some instructional videos on how to pick up women. Now, could be dodgy. I don't know if I would follow the advice, but there's probably some pearls in there.
It's a 12 video series, $69.99 right now. So help yourself to them. You can do a payment plan if you want. We're both. I'm married. I've been with the same lady for 11 years, somewhere in there. Dan's. What would you say? Engaged?
She's in the room, so you should probably be more specific with the number.
Me?
Like, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I think that one's important.
Well, we're coming up on October, so I wanted to say months, but who fucking knows at this point? Not that it's important. We're not out, pulling our pork swords out like you all over Dallas, chasing the muff around.
Well, I let people look, just not touch.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
It's 10 to look.
Yeah, it's a 10 to look.
10 to look. Yeah.
40 to hold it.
To watch. Actually,
okay.
Yeah.
Don't believe him. He takes his dick out, makes us look at it, and points a gun at us.
Yeah, you guys are my employees. That's not the same thing.
So you are watching the Deshaun Watson videos. You are watching all of Deshaun Watson's tapes. If you're
he watched my tapes.
Yeah, exactly.
When he was at Clemson, he watched my tapes. Yeah.
A lot of HJs from that guy.
What's the deal with the 6-game suspension? And then they gave that other guy, Calvin Ridley, or who was the guy for the Falcons?
Calvin Ridley.
FanDuel, and he played FanDuel, and he got 6 games, which is, you can call that gambling, but it's really more like fantasy football. And then they gave a guy that allegedly sexually assaulted 26 women, a 6-game suspension. It seems just all bullcrap. Why would they be lenient on Deshaun Watson, do you think?
We'll find out tomorrow. They have until 9 a.m. tomorrow to protest the ruling. I'll be curious to see if the NFL actually follows up on it and wants to do something about it, because there's a lot of outrage right now and a lot of shock and disbelief, in particular because he's not getting fined either. So $0 he's losing essentially. He's losing some preseason money. That's about it.
Yeah, he's going to lose
$245K. Yeah, but it's for the
out of a $220 million contract. Or
nobody cares. Yeah.
So I mean, come on, it's nothing.
Nothing. How much is Alex going to lose in this trial? You were there in the courtroom. I watched some of it today. I'll go through the hits that I saw on Twitter, and you can say what it was like in the courtroom. So was it true that his lawyer accidentally leaked all of his text messages and emails to the other side? Is that true?
Well, that's what the defense attorney, not the defense attorney, the prosecuting attorney, even though it's a civil case, it's not a criminal case. But yeah, the attorney that's going against Alex Jones said that. But see, I don't know if that's necessarily true because the guy sent him the text messages. And of course, the opposing attorney wants to make it seem like he got leaked information that he's not supposed to see. But as soon as I say this, I kind of contradict myself. Alex Jones's attorney is not the sharpest tool in the shed. He doesn't have any charisma. He's not very charismatic. He's getting basically railroaded by the other attorneys. The judge, anytime Alex Jones mentions, I heard it on the media, or let's say this, they're trying to paint Alex Jones as a conspiracy theorist, which he admits. So they'll ask him did you say that Oklahoma City bombing was an inside job? And he's like, yes. And then he tries to elaborate why. They're like, no. And then what do you think about, the Las Vegas shooting? And he tries to talk about it. It's like, no. So they're my point being is they're bringing up all of Alex Jones's worst conspiracies in front of the jury without letting him explain it. Even if he explained it, the jury wouldn't understand. So it just makes Alex Jones seem like he's some crazy person. And he is a little crazy. I'm a huge Alex Jones fan. I'm crazy. But my point being is when you're talking about these intense subjects out of context, it's impossible for the jury to not be like, oh man, this guy's bad for the society, because they're only hearing the worst parts of these conspiracies without him explaining it. So they're basically painting it that Alex Jones says everything's fake. Anything the government says is fake. And obviously the jury doesn't agree with that. And dude, they're all wearing masks. A lot of them have the girls that have the shaved heads. And it's just a keep Austin weird. I mean, literally it's the bumper sticker, keep Austin weird. Yeah. This jury would be the perfect. I mean, there's maybe, 3 white guys that just look like they're kind of youngish white guys that maybe might like Alex Jones. You can't even tell because they're wearing skinny jeans and a t-shirt. But everybody else, I count on the jury about 3 guys. It's maybe they might be favorable. But everybody else, it's middle-aged women. They're not, the women are not going to be. And then the people wearing the mask, because they're talking about COVID, about how Alex Jones doesn't believe a lot of that's narrative. So yes, dude, it's not looking good for AJ, sadly. That's just my gut feeling.
I'm still not entirely sure, why anybody's entitled to any money. This doesn't make sense.
I'll tell you why. So part of the Sandy Hook conspiracy where he said it was fake and everything else, he was telling people to go to their houses and check to see if, talk to the parents, try to find the parents, they don't exist, and this doesn't happen, everything else. So what happened was, strangers started going to Sandy Hook, showing up at these families' houses, harassing them and things like that, trying to get them to admit that they were crisis actors, potentially, and things like that. And so it was the harassment along with it, along with the conspiracy, that they were able to bring these charges to light.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's defamation, so they're saying he defamed it. And there were people that went after the families, but there's no footage of him on the air calling people to do it, but they just got riled up and radicalized by Alex Jones, right? I don't think he actually did a call to action, as they say, go confront him. But people just kind of insinuated that, and they went and did it. So it's the harassment that they did going up to the family. And so now they're getting basically like a mafia charge, like a RICO charge. You want to get the top boss, and Alex Jones is, even though some of these people, had nothing to do, had never met Alex Jones, never talked to Alex Jones, heard him on the air, then they went and confront the family. I don't know if you can necessarily blame Alex Jones for that, but this courtroom is definitely blaming him. He's definitely taking the blame. So
yeah, it's one of those things in these defamation trials. Same with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation. It's what you can convince the jury to believe in a civil trial, because it's like you said earlier, this isn't a criminal case. This is purely a civil trial, and if you get 12 people in the box that fucking hate you, and they're already pissed off, Austinites anyways, then sorry, you're going to lose a shit ton of money on that. He also tried to file for bankruptcy right before the trial started. I believe that got chucked as well. What happened in the courtroom today when they were bringing up advertisers and things that he had sold? I had heard there were some large dollar amounts thrown out.
Yeah, so basically in a civil case, though, versus a criminal case, in a criminal case, you have to convict somebody guilty without any reasonable doubt whatsoever. So if you have a little bit of doubt in a criminal case, technically a jury is supposed to be like, no, we won't, you're not guilty. But in a civil case, if you just feel like they're more liable than not liable,
it's called
the burden
preponderance
of proof is
of evidence.
Yeah, it's much less. So if they just feel, if their gut feeling is that he is liable, it's not like there could be one thing, that's hanging in the air that would get Alex off. If overwhelmingly they think that he's liable, he's liable. So the burden of proof is a lot less in civil case. So that's also hurting him. I was just kind of reiterating what you're saying. But yeah, this is what I thought was the worst part. Is they went through Alex Jones's finances from a certain amount of years that he gave them, and they picked out the best days that he sold products. And I'll be honest, to be on not the defensive attorneys, they pulled up some big numbers. They're like, oh, you made $800,000. You sold $800,000 of the products there. They picked the top 5 days of the year. Mm-hmm. And then they, one day he sold 800,000, one day he sold 700,000. Then they obviously didn't take into account of what it cost, the products, the profit margin. They kind of did. They said that you make within 20 to 40% profit margin. And then they were like, well, you actually make like 60 to 70 is what they were saying. So they were disagreeing on the profit margin. But regardless, they said at this rate, which he doesn't sell it every day, this is over $300 million a year. And like Alex Jones's attorney is just sitting there letting the other attorney basically say this. And you can just see the other juries. I'm looking at the other jurors and they're just like, this guy makes $300 million. And guys, if you guys have seen InfoWars, which I have, it's well made. It's like high edited. Yes. But dude, it's a lot of imagery that people wouldn't understand. It's like Alex Jones on the steps of the Capitol, 1776, and like America burning and all this stuff. And when you're watching it in a courtroom, it almost looks like porn or something. Like it just looks really out of place. You're like, oh shit. If you're not kind of awake to this vibe, it'd be like showing InfoWars to like a kindergarten class. They would be like, what is this? They don't understand. So it looks really bad out of context to people that aren't awake to what's going on. They probably think that Alex Jones is what the media says, which I don't agree with, obviously, but I can see why they paint him as like this evil guy, only because it's like a war, information war. It's almost like he is like a general of conspiracy theorists in a way. It gives off that vibes.
Yeah, we're friends with him in real life. We've been on his show a few times. He's been on this program a few times as well. To me personally, I view him as an entertainer. Now, did he make a mistake with his Sandy Hook thing? Yes. Is he going to pay for it? Yes. But he's been right on a lot of shit. And one of the things that he was right on, I had to apologize on air because I thought it sounded too ridiculous when we did a show years ago when he kept hammering on about the Lolita Express and the Pizza Gate and all that other stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, bro, there's no way, man. I'm willing to entertain a lot of shit. This one I'm not. And then, cut to 3 years later, the Epstein thing blew up and he was right all along. Like, his success rate is probably 70-30 if I was to put numbers on it.
I'd even say higher. But, dude, I got to say this. So I was a diehard Howard Stern fan. I called into Howard Stern as the Pizzagate stuff first came out. And Howard Stern said Pizzagate was all fake. And I had the clip. I'll email it to Rob. But what I'm saying is at first, of course, nobody believed the Pizzagate, but that was real. Bill Clinton's on the Lolita Express 26 times without Secret Service. It sounds unbelievable, but stuff like that, you don't get any credit for that. Like he exposed something like that. You get no credit for that. You only get, canceled. It's kind of sucks.
Well, you can't miss on shooting kids, unfortunately. Yeah. And you're right. On the other side of that, Uvalde, they're going through it. The police and the chief and everything else. Like whether or not you thought something was different was going to happen that day, you're the dude, and that's what happened. So
no, and you're right. And he keeps on bringing up Uvalde. He's like, "There's a reason
Does he really?
We're not he's like, we're not covering Uvalde. Normally this would have gotten way more. This is getting 1/1000th of the coverage normally because the mainstream media has been so wrong in the past. Like he's talking about how they're not covering it, and the mainstream media is not covering this as much as a normal school shooting. Because normally in the past, like I said, this was the Uvalde thing was the biggest story in the world. It's still not getting as much coverage as, Sandy Hook or a lot of, at least it was like back then in 2012, that's all they talked about. So he kept bringing up Uvalde. I'm like, oh, quit bringing up Uvalde. He's not helping, I don't think, when he does that.
Well, he definitely shouldn't be representing himself. Let's be fucking clear about that.
Well,
and he basically is.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I watched some of the footage today online, and you're right. I mean, the lawyer that he has isn't saying anything. He's not objecting to anything. I've never seen anything like it. And then even the text message thing, I couldn't figure out if that was real or fake because the guy was motionless when they said it in court today. He didn't object. He didn't say that's inadmissible evidence. I sent that mistakenly or whatever else. Like, he said none of it, which begs the question, is Alex doing this on purpose? Like, do you hire a guy like this on purpose to be like, oh, my lawyer was incompetent, he was fucked up, and what do you do?
Well, he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt in an Austin courtroom for a mistrial because of his own representation. Let's be real fucking good. If that was his strategy, it was a bad one.
But is that the last Hail Mary, though, with how things have been going? That's my question, I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he has a better chance. And I mean, like I said, I'm not an attorney because the judge is so mad at him. She's like so negative. I almost think he has a better chance of getting a mistrial because the judge, but like I said, that's not that, I wouldn't bank on that either. So yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know why they would have, this is why the big thing is the attorney's like, the opposing attorney is like, why didn't you give us all the texts about Sandy Hook? He's like, I gave you all my text messages. And they were able to find one text message where Paul Joseph Watson sent him a message like, we got to stop talking about Sandy Hook. So now he looks like a liar because he's like saying, oh, I don't have any text messages about Sandy Hook. And they're able to find one. So it's just like little shit like that. That's just, it makes him look bad. It makes him look like a liar when it really, truly, it wasn't like him texting about Sandy Hook, but he did have text messages on his phone about Sandy Hook, and he did willingly give them. He did give them, even whether it was on accident or not. He gave them these text messages, but still the opposing attorney is still like, they accidentally sent this. We wouldn't have this normally, but they messed up in order to kind of paint him more, to paint him in a negative light even more. Like, oh, we have access to stuff we're not supposed to have access to type situation.
Sure. How much longer do they have left in the trial? Do you know?
Well, I think he's the last person, so I think it's going to probably. They were kind of saying it's going to last like 2 weeks, I believe. So I think it's going to be like Alex Jones is the last person on the stand, I believe, and then I think the jury's going to deliberate and however long they take. And I have a feeling, like I said, we were talking about it earlier, the Keep Austin Weird. I just have to guess they're going to say you owe them $50 million.
That's where if my money on mybookie.com, I would put all of the money on that for sure.
Yeah. They're not going to give him 150, but they're going to say, hey, you owe him like 25, 50, something a lot.
I thought the original
money.
number was like 15 and then the family
was 150.
for 100.
150, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
150.
Well, that's
they'll
fucking,
give him that.
This is fucking stupid. To be honest, like I obviously don't approve of what he did, but I don't think what financial compensation is going to fucking make any the point of that is to compensate the person for something, right? Compensate them for what?
Right. So I'm glad you brought that up because he did say something during the trial that said, look, I admit that I was wrong. Mm-hmm. I admit everything that I said was wrong about it. How about we settle on $1? He wanted to settle for $1 just for the admission of guilt that he was wrong and in apologizing to the families and everything else. And then the other side said, no, you can take the $1 and go fuck yourself.
Well, that's because they want to take him down.
Well, they want to take down the whole network. Yeah, they want all of it gone because it's Infowars.com, and they want to nuke it out altogether. It seems like.
So explain to me how that's not like an activist bench and an activist jury at that point.
Well,
it is. It is, dude. It has that vibe. I had to say that. Like, I'm not trying to cut it. It has the vibe like the jury is against him. The judge is being very snarky. Like, usually judge is supposed to be unbiased. You can clearly tell that she's biased against Alex. Because, like, when they ask him a question and he tries to elaborate on these complex situations, she's like, no, hearsay. And then his attorney, like you guys said, he's not ever raising up and objecting anything. You can just tell she's vibing with the opposite attorneys.
He should have hired Joe Pesci.
Yeah, and we do have a...
He would have had a better
My cousin
case,
Vinny.
My cousin Vinny would have been
case?
fine, yeah. He would have been really good. But we do have a precedent before this. Hulk Hogan was able to take down Gawker almost for the same dollar amount. So maybe that's where they came up with the number, and he won, and they had to declare bankruptcy and sell off the website.
This was quite a bit different. So Hulk Hogan earns a living doing X, and they release information that damaged his brand that disallows him to do X. So financial compensation was due. There's none of that in this case at all. None of these. Like, I understand you're fucking that he was wrong about the shit here, but nobody's losing their jobs or their livelihood over this. It's not the same. So what the fuck is the giant financial compensation all about? It doesn't make any sense.
No, and I agree. And I bet y'all were too on Hulk Hogan's side. You're like, oh, let's take down Gawker. But you're right. That set a bad precedent. And really what Gawker did, they shared the porno that was, from him and Bubba the Love Sponge, who was a Howard Stern guy.
Well, his wife, not Bubba himself.
But it was Bubba's cameras, right, that leaked it, and he supposedly got $150 million. My point being, now looking back, Gawker probably shouldn't have been liable. I mean, the Hulk Hogan's a famous person. They shouldn't have shared it. I don't know if they should share it, but it is kind of a famous tape that they got leaked. Like, they are news. They probably should have been punished, but I don't know. $150 million. Alex Jones is going to be in that range, probably.
Yeah, I agree with you. Since you cover everything across the spectrum politically and everything else, I want to get your thoughts on Kansas last night. So everybody's talking about Kansas this morning and how they said we're not going to have the abortion ban in our state, and every single person now, at least on the left, takes it as a victory, and they're wondering, all right, are other governors going to get voted out during midterms for states that want to pass anti-abortion legislation? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a big proponent, big anti-abortionist. And the reason why is, like, my parents weren't married, and they decided to get married after the fact, and they have me. And listen, I understand the reason why somebody would, to try to meet in the middle. I understand why somebody would want to have an abortion. But this is the problem in society, is even the people that are pro-choice, when they get surveyed, they admit that there should be a limit. After the second trimester, they should not be able to have an abortion. But these people, these politicians like Kamala Harris, especially the ones in power, they want to have abortion in California and New York up until after birth, potentially 7 days after birth. So they've turned abortion into a thing that was done by college girls in secret. They wouldn't tell anybody. They'd take it to their grave. Now kids are making TikTok videos of their fourth abortion, and they're cheerleading when legislation lets them have an abortion. So people are too stupid to realize this is a states' rights issue. Your right to get an abortion is still going to exist. It doesn't matter if Roe versus Wade gets overturned. You will be able to get on a Greyhound bus and go to a state. Even Florida, you can get an abortion right now. Florida is one of the most conservative states in America. So the idea that people can't get an abortion, it just shows you how low IQ they are, and they're not looking into it. Now, I wish people couldn't get an abortion. I think they should have to use protection. Or if you have that, use contraceptive. I'm not anti-contraceptive, but the idea that now literally they're trying to pass legislation where they can have an abortion up until the 9 months, I think that's sick. And I think the conspiracy in that is that a lot of these people, a lot of these pharmaceutical companies, medical industrial complex, they want to use these fetuses for scientific testing. These fetuses are worth thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's why these Planned Parenthood people get caught with fetuses in their house. They get caught selling it on security tapes. Project Veritas, they have all these recordings of people saying what they do with these fetuses for medical testing. So it's not what people want. My point of being, with all that said, even a person that's pro-choice, that's pro-abortion, thinks there should be a limit to it. But the people in power do not even agree with the populace. They want to be able to have abortion up until birth. And I think that's evil and demonic.
I believe the Kansas limit was 20 weeks.
20 weeks, yeah. But do you think, my question is, do you think it will affect the midterm elections for some of these states?
It doesn't seem to be a winning issue for Republicans, to be honest.
No, it's going to radicalize people. And that's probably why they do it. That's what a lot of reason why. I mean, obviously they didn't want it overturned, but it's like CNN just played a clip in Wyoming of showing all the Wyoming people saying they don't support Liz Cheney. And the reason why I think CNN would play that clip is in order to radicalize people into being like, oh, look, everybody in your state doesn't like Liz Cheney. You got to show up and vote. You got to show up and vote. So you're right. I don't think this helps conservative people whatsoever. This just woke up all these young people that want to have the right to abortion. And now they're going to get politically involved when they probably weren't politically involved at all. So, yeah, I don't think this benefits conservatives whatsoever. And really, I'm not even super conservative. I consider myself more of a populist, more in the middle. I think we should have some form of socialized healthcare. I don't understand why insulin in Texas costs $200, but in Mexico across the border, it's $7. So, I'm not saying that healthcare should be totally free, but we should have a readjustment of the system so these pharmaceutical companies cannot price gouge us to death. And that's not a conservative topic because, conservatives want less government involvement in industry. And I would argue some industries, we need more government involvement.
Yeah, I got to suck a dick just to get a Vicodin these days. Even my wife who just had a baby, they were like, hey, we're going to give you 2 Tylenol. She was like, cool, I just pushed out a 9-pound kid. You got anything stronger? So trying to get through that fucking gauntlet these days is a nightmare. But yeah.
And these are the same people that created the opioid epidemic with the Oxycontin. And now, dude, I've lost 6 people that I've known from fentanyl overdoses. This fentanyl that's being rushed through the border, I don't care about an immigrant coming here for a better life. Actually, I almost, I get that. I support that. But it's the sex trafficking and the drug trafficking that's happening through the border. And we had over 108,000 drug overdose deaths this past year, the most in recorded American history. And that's only going to get worse because people are using fentanyl that is so strong. Forget about the stuff we would take. If Vicodin, that you would take that in college, have a couple of beers, you feel great. Now these people, and I'm saying, I had a friend of mine, Clark Gable. So I worked for the TV show Cheaters. I signed an NDA. So if you guys ask me, I can only sign a non-disclosure agreement. I can only say so much about the show. But my point being is, Clark Gable had the highest drug tolerance of anybody I've ever seen. He would drink 100 beers. He had multiple doctors that give him prescriptions in California. He was from LA, and he had, all these doc in the box type doctors. Well, he ran out of his pills. And when we were done shooting season 17, he went and bought Vicodin on the street or Oxycontin, whatever. He bought, not heroin, but he bought pills. Well, these were pressed pills that had fentanyl in it. He took one and woke up dead in his bed with his 19-month-old baby and his fiance. And the reason why that's a big deal is this guy parties harder than anybody I know. I mean, he would be up all night. I thought if he would die of a drug overdose, he'd be in the back of a strip club, with 10 strippers.
Sure.
So my point being is that fentanyl is so strong. You have enough fentanyl, the tip of a pin can kill multiple people. And these people are making these pressed pills in the bathtub or in a, some bootleg factory. So this is really an opioid epidemic that's worse than it's ever been. And now they're putting fentanyl in cocaine. They're putting fentanyl in ecstasy. So it's just, I don't use drugs anymore. There's a time in college and stuff I did. But now if you're out there and you're using drugs, I would really, and I'm not even trying to sound like some teetotaler, but now all these drugs are poisoned with fentanyl that's probably made in a lab in China and brought through the border that has more holes than Swiss cheese. You cannot trust any drugs out there. Doesn't matter if it looks like a Xanax, doesn't matter if it looks like a Vicodin. You can trust nothing that you buy on the street.
Well, pills and powders, right? But mushrooms are mushrooms. Let's be real about that.
Well, mushrooms are fine.
So
mushrooms are fine.
Them.
Yeah. No, honestly, I would agree with you. Mushrooms, you're not going to overdose on mushrooms. And I'm not, I've done mushrooms a few times, but that's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily mushrooms that are bad, but dude, it's the ecstasy, it's the cocaine, and they all lace it with this fentanyl that's so potent that even though, let's say the cocaine, it's not that strong, well, then they add fentanyl, even though it's a downer, it gives people this feeling of being fucked up, and they don't know any better, and it's young kids doing it. And if it's killing people with high drug tolerances, imagine you look at the Astro World concert with Travis Scott, where I think it's 10 people died. You can't go to a concert this day and age. If you're a kid, when I'd go to a concert, I'd go to a Widespread Panic concert. I'd be out there giving a $20 bill to any crackhead and taking whatever pill he handed me. This day and age, I wouldn't do that if you paid me $10,000 to take a pill from some stranger. I would not do it.
Favorite Widespread song, go.
Well, Tall Boy is probably my favorite. I love them all. Airplane. Shoot, you guys have been to some Panic shows. I've been to a lot of Panic shows.
I'm from Georgia. They're from Georgia. I've been to a million.
I can't do jam bands. Yeah. There's no fucking beginning, middle, or end.
I grew up with it there. So they were they played before everybody, after everybody. Athens. Yes. Yeah. I'm from Georgia. So we saw them all the time. But it's funny. If you're in, you're in. And you look like the guy that's all in. Mushrooms, parking lot, let's go. Inside, fake ID, margaritas. I don't see you as a Bud Heavy guy or some Marlboro Reds. I think it's Marlboro Lights. Maybe a nice Capri 120. Menthol, just to kick shit up.
I do like a menthol cigarette, but dude, when we'd go there, you know what I would do? The nitrous oxide. That's what I remember the most. Have you guys ever done the nitrous oxide?
Balloons.
Oh, dude. Yeah. You haven't lived till you suck down a balloon. That's the same stuff they give you at the dentist that takes away your anxiety. When you suck on a balloon at a Widespread Panic concert after 20 beers and a few lines of whatever, dude, there's nothing that'll recreate that effect. They call it the synergistic drug effect. It's some real synergistic shit, as I would put it, I would say.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've had to, right?
Of course I have, but I smoke DMT, which is close to the same.
Now, but back then, we didn't have DMT. It was balloons out of the back of a car.
Yeah.
No, let's talk about DMT. So I did DMT one time. I went to my buddy, his brother had a hemp farm in Colorado. And they're like, have you guys ever tried DMT? And I was like, no, but I'm willing to try it. Dude, they scared me to death. They had a shaman praying. They're like, oh, this is going to be so intense. Dude, when I did the DMT, they call it blasting off. Dude, my eyes were wide open and everything I saw was blue and pink.
Yeah.
It almost looked like a checkerboard. And what I would describe is like when you go to Best Buy and you see the newest TV, the 2022 70-inch 8K TV, you're like, man, that is so clear. That's what I saw with my eyes. And they were wide open. I saw like these blue and pink were so clear. And then you come back to reality. It was so much fun. It was a blast. They were acting like I was going to cry. I thought I was scared to death, dude. I had a blast. And I've only done it that one time, but dude, it was epic. And I probably did it 3 or 4 times that night. No blast off was as big as the first time I did it. But yeah, you know, I want to go try ayahuasca now. It was actually a very pleasurable, very cool experience for me. I know other people said different stuff, but you know, it was epic.
Well, the next time you're in Austin.
Yeah, Dan's got it on him, I would imagine. Right?
I'll hit you out, Dan. Yeah, let's go, Dan. Let's go. Well, people act like it's so dangerous, so scary. It really wasn't. I mean, it was almost like just a small, short trip. They were like, oh, you're going to start crying. You're going to start thinking about, you know, your childhood and all this stuff. It was like a fun roller coaster ride, and not even a good, you know, not a bad roller coaster ride, like a pleasurable roller coaster, like a medium level roller coaster where you're not scared and it's fun. So yeah, I enjoyed my experience.
Did you figure out why you owned a cat on it is what I want to know.
I own 5 cats.
Oh,
Listen,
why?
I started with 2 cats.
Why?
And I own a dog and I own a turtle because it's called toxoplasmosis from dealing with the fecal matter. When you change the litter, what it does, it's called the crazy cat lady syndrome. And it's a parasite that infects your brain. And the more you have toxoplasmosis, the more you like cats. That's why rats get toxoplasmosis. And then there's rats that'll run and talk to the cat and the cats will kill it. It's because the rat gets infected with toxoplasmosis. And the more toxoplasmosis that you have, which I'm full of it, it makes you like cats even more. So I'm addicted to cats. When we talk about addiction, we talk about cocaine addiction, Hunter Biden addiction. I'm Hunter Biden of cats. I'm freebasing cats every day.
Well, it doesn't eventually that leads to meningitis though, right? Because that's how the guy.
Oh yeah.
That's how the guy in Train Spotting died. That's how fucking Mick whatever the fuck died in Train Spotting. I'm just saying, be careful.
That was such a good movie.
Yeah,
that was a great movie.
It was a fucking blast. So you have 5 cats and a fucking turtle. Hang on, you've got a turtle
and a dog
and a dog
and a dog.
What kind of turtle is it? What kind of turtle do you got?
It's a Mississippi map turtle, and they say that because the back of it looks like a map. It's a really beautiful turtle. I'm telling you, I'm an animal nut. You guys are going to even make fun of me more. I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat meat because I don't want to kill animals for food, even though I eat cheese. So I'm a soy boy. That's how big of a pussy I am. Yeah, I'm an animal lover. This is why, because if I wouldn't kill it, then I don't want to eat it. But I feed my dogs meat. I feed my cats meat. I cook them meat. So I'm not anti-meat. You guys eat all the steak you want. I just don't eat it.
Well,
do you want your animals?
Do you want to go murder something with us and then we can cook it?
Yeah, would you be down to do that?
No, but that's better. That's better than the factory farming because this is why Well, let me just finish this point. You brought up the adrenochrome. When the cow's getting factory farmed and it sees its friend die, you're getting the adrenalized blood of a cow. So that's why it can kind of it's like low vibrational because the blood is like this negative energy right before they die. You're getting all that. It's like Hillary Clinton wants to adrenalize blood of a child. These people, you know, you incidentally eat the adrenalized blood of a cow. Come here, Ginger. Here's my turn.
I thought you were looking over your shoulder after you said Hillary Clinton because she just popped up.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to get that old throat slit, brother.
Yeah, but it can foul the meat. I don't eat factory meat, but you know, if you want, I'll put a deer in a headlock and you can just walk up and shoot it right in the face.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to do that. I'm an animal. Look at this. This is how much I love animals. I got a pit bull. Full control of this dog. Full domination. You guys cannot, most people do not have this much control over a pit bull. I'm a beast from the Texas Northeast. I got full control.
I want to see you put that thing in a rear naked choke and just watch it go out.
Choke her out. Yeah, but she wouldn't even bite me back. But honestly though, these pit bulls are not the best dogs, and I have one because I can't even take her to the dog park. She'll start fighting with her dog, so they are a little toxic. That's not a conspiracy. I'll tell you that much.
No, do you have to put a harness on that goddamn thing? One of those mouth muzzles?
I have one, but she rips it off, so I just stopped taking her to the dog park. I walk her by and that's how y'all know me, is because I went viral for going to city council meetings and acting absurd. But when I first started going to the city council meetings, It was at the beginning of the pandemic, and they shut down all the water fountains. They literally closed the water fountains. And this was in April 2020, May of 2020. It's so hot. And I'd walk my dog around Bachman Lake every day. And so they have a little water fountain for the dogs, like a little dog bowl. The concrete bathrooms, they locked all those bathrooms, and then they put porta potties. So there's this 81-year-old guy named Rudy that would walk there every day. I'd see him like either morning, randomly I'd see him there. And he stopped walking for like a month once the pandemic started. And I messaged him on Facebook. I'm like, what's the deal? He's like, yeah, I don't like walking anymore because they closed the bathrooms. I can't change my colostomy bag and the porta potty. It's just, it's unsanitary. So I went to a city council meeting and I spoke serious. I was like, why are you shutting down the parks? Like, shouldn't we be encouraged to walk outside? Shouldn't we be allowed to still use the water fountain? Like, I don't know how this stops the spread of anything. Dude, they didn't pay attention at all. And then when they were really being, crazy about the vaccine, I went in there and I said, Eric Johnson, that's the mayor of Dallas. I go, the gay community would really love it if you did a vaccine drive in the neighborhood and you call it Eric Johnson's Johnson & Johnson, and the gay community would love the double entendre. And since you're the first openly gay mayor of Dallas, they would be really encouraged to get it. He's not openly gay. He's a black dude married with kids. And dude, he was pissed. He was mad. He's like, oh, this is the guy that called me gay. And it was off to the races. Because my point being is I always try to evoke a response from these people. It's like I had this viral video with AOC. I called her a big booty Latina. And she freaked out. She made 10 Instagram videos. And she was like acting like she's the biggest victim, like I sexually assaulted her. My point being is, in order to get a response from these politicians or these people in power, you have to go a little crazy. You have to go bonkers, because if you actually give them your serious problems, they don't care. They're too busy. But if they have the risk of getting embarrassed, dude, it's so easy to bring them down. They're all NPCs, non-playable characters in the video game of life. But that's the cheat code. In order to be able to interact with them, you have to either publicly embarrass them or scare them that they could be embarrassed.
Yeah, I agree, because when you meet these people in real life, if you start talking about serious issues, it just goes dead behind the eyes, and they're like, great, they're all checked the fuck out. If you can relate to them on some level regarding their states or city that they're from, then you can get their attention to spark up or do shit like you're doing, where it's like, oh yeah, you're the first openly gay, mayor or whatever it is. Like, then you'll get a response from it. But I agree. These days, like, no, everybody's setting their own thing, and then they would rather use your videos to gain more, viral fame for themselves, like AOC and all these other guys. So they love people like you.
Yeah, and it's the absurdity, like the culture jamming, because then the mayor can't be like, oh, I'm not gay, because then it looks like he's anti-gay, So he kind of almost has to lean into it, because then it puts him in this box where they're like, well, what's wrong with being gay? The gay people on the city council be like, wait, what's wrong with if you're a gay?
But then still imagine being called gay when you're not by a dude who owns 5 cats, right? Yeah. So you're like,
exactly, dude, that's the worst insult ever. And listen, I can take a joke, and that's the other thing. My biological father, Tucker Carlson, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's the #1 broadcaster. He's the man. He can take a joke. Now, I've met a few celebrities. I've been lucky to meet Tucker a couple times. He's a very gracious guy. He's really down to earth. He has a sense of humor. But most of these people that are in power, these big celebrities, they don't have a sense of humor. So it's just funny. Like, we live in a humorless world where it wasn't that long ago on Saturday Night Live, every Monday, there was a viral video from that Saturday night show. Right. And now, dude, it's trash. It's all political correct. So comedy and humor has died because people can't take a joke, because they'd rather be a victim and use a joke against them as, oh, you're hurting me. You're going after my race, gender, sexuality, yada, yada, yada. Instead of just taking it on the chin and trying to, overcome it. People love being a victim in this day and age. And that's, I think, one of the biggest cancers of society is the victimhood mentality.
No, I 100% agree, and it's only going to get worse, unfortunately. That's why we enjoy the content that you put out on a day-to-day basis. Who's funding it is my question, because I see you at all these events, and I see you going to pretty much anything that's going on in the world.
Is it George Soros or what?
Is it Soros? Who's your fucking financer?
They say, George Soros. I'm in the Jewish Illuminati, and George Soros pays me to make Republicans look crazy. I love that one. And then, but I work for the Blaze, so I'm a Blaze TV contributor, and I make a little bit of money on YouTube. And I actually have a show on Blaze. Potentially, the potential start date is September 5th. I don't know if the studio is gonna be ready for that, but they pay me a little bit of money. And honestly, dude, it's like you guys, I do this, and I'm not trying to virtue signal. I do this because I love creating content. I love going to these places. It's my passion. You're like, oh, why don't you date more? Well, because when you date, that's your whole hobby. Now I've made my whole hobby creating this content because I love it, because it's working and I have a vision, right? I'm hyper focused on my vision that I'm going to be the biggest culture jammer. I'm going to be the next red pill Tucker Carlson. If Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson had gay sex, and a baby came out of Alex Jones's butthole, that baby would be me. And so when I'm hyper focused like this, it's like the movie Vision Quest about the wrestling. I don't have time. All I got time for is 5 cats, my dog, and a gosh dang microphone and a camera. That's the only thing I got time for. And that's the only thing that makes me happy in this day and age. So yeah, the reason why I'm everywhere, because I'm on the grind all the time. I'm primetime 9 to 9. I got one speed, full speed. I mean, what the heck? I don't have a choice.
I did want to, before we move on from this, give you an opportunity to apologize to your turtle for not mentioning.
Yeah, you didn't mention the fucking turtle.
I know, his name's Jay Leno. And, it's because, honestly, Jay, he's a turtle. He's a hell of a turtle, and I feed him like crazy. But he's the least sociable of all the animals, and he's probably going to outlive me. So I'm a little nervous of the turtle. I have a little animosity that these turtles live forever. But yes, like I said, though, you guys know this. You guys, when you find your passion, like how long have you guys been doing your podcast?
7 years.
Exactly. So you guys started 7 years ago before anybody was really doing it. You guys were on the cusp. I mean, there was some people doing a podcast, but 7 years ago, very rarely people were doing it. Now everybody's doing it. My regret is I was working for Cheaters, creating content for Viacom, which is owned by MTV, thinking that I was doing something great. But when my buddy died and then I left the show, they offered me the job of hosting it. And then when it came time for us to start shooting, they hired a 52-year-old black guy named Peter Guns, kind of an affirmative action pick because, he was more multicultural than me. And so I quit. And that's when I started my podcast, May of 2020. And dude, I've been hyper focused ever since. And my biggest regret is I'm not like you guys. I didn't start 7 years ago. I didn't start 10 years ago. Because when you start creating something like this, it brings you so much joy. You get to be creatively free. You get to do whatever the hell you want. You get to talk into a microphone, and it takes balls. You know what I mean? That's the thing. People don't realize it takes balls to be able to hit record on the computer and talking to the microphone. But once you do it, it brings you a level of joy that's unmatched. That, I almost feel like, I'm not half as good as Picasso, and I'm not saying that, but you feel like an artist when you're creating art, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a stupid video of me going to a city council meeting, whether it's me interviewing people on the street. It's what I'm passionate about. And I'm happy that I found that passion when I was 33 years old. I know it took a while. And
well, that's right around the same time that Jesus broke out.
Jesus broke out.
Well, he died at 33.
Yeah, but that's when he became most famous. So,
that's when he peaked. But my point being is like, it does. Don't you guys think it brings you so much joy actually creating something? And that's why I think we have a joyless society. People aren't creating anything. We're all like have this materialistic mindset where we put our ego into inanimate objects. Oh, I got to have the coolest car. I got to have this. I got to have, this sort of clothes. None of that shit matters. People need to be making stuff. And even if it sucks at first, perfection is the enemy of good. You just need to make good stuff, and eventually people will catch on. And like, I'm sure you guys are surprised. You guys have been very successful. You're probably, when you first started, you didn't know that you're going to be successful or get a following, but you have to take that risk, and people aren't willing to take that risk in this day and age because everybody plays it safe, and we need more risk takers.
I agree. Look, we own a media company, so if it doesn't work out with the Blaze, let us know. We got about 14 shows on our network. But speaking of which, what is the format of your show going to be exactly? Because you are one of those guys who's so entertaining, like an Alex Jones, that you might not need guests. Is that been pitched to you?
Well, kind of. It's going to be like a late night show, kind of like how Eric Andre's show was. It's kind of like a nonsensical late night show.
I'm a big fan of Eric Andre.
You should do it.
Show very well.
You should make the tagline of the show like the Daily Show, but funny.
It's basically kind of like the Daily Show when it was Steve Carell, when it was awesome like that. And Michael Scott's my hero.
Yes.
Like the actual character of Michael Scott, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. My point being is Michael Scott is a genius, and that's what I want. Is like we need to mix kind of this comedic tongue-in-cheek, because all the late night shows suck. They're all politically correct. So I want my show I'm going to have guests on in a similar vein to Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher, where he has guests on that are kind of different, like conservative, liberals. And so that's my point being is it's going to be a late night show. It's slated to be 2 hours. It's going to be a live show. And we're going to have guests from different political spectrums. And we're going to kind of have a free-for-all. It's not necessarily a debate, but, we'll ask people questions and get their opinions on it. And hopefully it's not the same thing, because I don't want to make some conservative show, and it's every conservative show is the same. It's just the same talking points. Abortion is bad, voter fraud, blah, 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 blah. I want people to have different opinions, and then they make their own decision because, guys, I'm not a role model. I know that I'm up here kind of preaching like, oh, create stuff, do all this. You make decisions for yourself. I can only just be me, and you can either like it or not like it, but do not be like me. You know, be yourself. That's the one thing that I try to encourage people is not enough people are they're trying to follow the leader, and comparison is the biggest thief of joy. So I'm going to create a show with different opposing opinions. It's going to be in a late night format, and it's also going to feature a lot of my outside the studio stuff where I go and I, culture jam, where I do absurd stunts and I go to crazy abortion rallies and I do crazy stuff. So, I'm really excited for the show. I'm excited because I'm a one-man wrecking team. You guys have a crew. I edit this stuff. I film my podcast. Literally I find the guests. I do this all by myself. And now I'm going on 2.5 years. I'm ready for a team. I'm ready for a production team. I think it'll just amp up my show that much more.
Yeah, because to create what you're talking about is a ton of work, and especially shooting sketches and then editing them in along with guests and everything else on a weekly basis. If you were doing it by yourself, you'd burn out. So you definitely need a team behind you. Dan and I have done some stuff over at the Blaze in the past, and their studios are incredible down there.
Las Colinas.
Yeah,
so those are the
beautiful.
Original. They shot JFK there, the Addams Family Values, and I remember as a kid,
I thought he got shot in
Dallas. Yeah, downtown. Did JFK?
Yeah, but they shot the movie.
Got it.
Yeah, with Oliver Stone, like that. So he got shot in Dallas, but that they used that studio because they're that was like where they produced it. And at that time, it was the Paramount Studios. And what they thought was because LA and New York, this was in the 80s, back when the TV show Dallas was a huge hit.
Yep.
They wanted Dallas to become like the third coast for movies and television. But Dallas is so fucking annoying. They didn't give a bunch of good tax breaks to these companies. And the reason why Dallas had a lot of production is we have a lot of restaurant headquarters. There's a group called the Richards Group, which is a big advertising firm. So in Dallas, they were shooting a lot of commercials because of this firm. So they have a lot of television and film media studios set up. But because they didn't get good tax breaks, they all went to Louisiana, they went to New Orleans, they went to Atlanta. And so this studio basically went to default and had multiple owners. And then Glenn Beck bought it. Mm-hmm. And then Glenn Beck created his show, merged his Blaze with CRT, which is another production company. And now it became Blaze Media. And so now we're filming inside of literally a Hollywood Paramount owned studio. So it's just kind of sad. I love it. It's a dream come true because as a kid, I went on field trips there and got to see where they had Barney the Dinosaur was the biggest show. They filmed the whole entire Barney series at the studio. And if you guys remember that show.
Look, they're trying to remake it now into a horror film. And no, I'm not kidding. I believe it's one of the guys from Atlanta that's behind it. So I'm not joking, by the way.
It'll be great.
I'm sure. It seems
it might be okay. It might be okay if it's probably Tyler Perry though.
No, it's not. It's not. It's one of the guys from Atlanta. Shit.
Is it Stanfield? Lakeith Stanfield?
It's not Lakeith. I believe he was just in that movie Nope as well. He works with Jordan Peele.
Oh, he was
and those
Key
guys.
and Peele. Yeah, Jordan Peele. And Well, it'll be all right. It's probably good then.
Well, last time we were at the Blaze, interestingly enough, and I don't know if this happened to you because I've never seen this. But on our way out, I forget whose show we did. We saw Glenn Beck in a meeting, and their offices are all glass windows. So you were just staring at 15 people in this meeting kind of gathered around Glenn Beck. And I was like, man, this is weird. I feel like I'm going into old NBC studios watching Stern on air where you're just like, all right, there's all the people.
It was like a menagerie where there was just random characters in there and you can peer at them through the glass.
And we knew all of them, but they were like, they were all sitting aroround him.
I was waiting for Glenn to either start crying or remove his goatee or something, like something surreal. I was hoping, but it wasn't.
It didn't happen.
No, nothing.
It didn't happen.
Yeah. Wait, but whose show? Were you guys on Sarah Gonzalez's or were you on
No, this was a couple years ago. It's
Graham Allen? Yeah, I think it was Graham Allen's show back then.
Well, you guys will be welcome to come on my show. But it's funny because the same room that you're talking about, now they're redoing that as we speak. Because of like COVID, a lot of people went home. So now they're trying to revamp the studios a little bit to encourage people to come back, and they're going to give them more privacy now. So it's funny you guys mentioned that because now the redesign of it, they're giving them more privacy. It's funny that you guys organically said that, but they're literally redesigning that right as we speak. You can't even use the staircase right there because they're redesigning that whole entire bullpen is what they call it.
That's funny.
I like it when people watch.
Yeah,
me too. And Glenn Beck's office is staying the same, so you can still see Glenn Beck in his office, but the other office where everybody works, that's getting a little more privatized, where you can have cubicles and enclosed offices. So it's funny. You guys kind of nailed it on the head what the people wanted.
That's funny, man. That's hilarious. Are you covering any of the upcoming midterms in your show and all that stuff? I would imagine. Are you going to any of the CPAC stuff? What are you doing there?
Yeah, because apparently there's a fucking authoritarian war crimental coming to CPAC. So that should be fun,
Victor
right?
Ivan or whoever this guy is. I've heard a lot about him. I don't even know. They're calling him a Nazi and all this stuff. Yeah, I plan on going to CPAC and covering it. I hope I run into that Jordan Klepper guy. He's the guy that's on the Daily Show now with Trevor Noah, which sucks. The show used to be good. And so I kind of want to troll that guy if I troll anybody, is the guy from the Daily Show. And it's in Dallas, so this weekend. So I'll be there. And dude, in this day and age of this news cycle, there's always some new drama. There's always some new crap that's always going to be covering it. And you can't predict it. Like, you try to think, oh, well, this is what's going to happen. I would have never thought Roe versus Wade would get overturned. I never would thought AOC would make 10 reaction videos to me. My point being is we have no idea what's on the future. We try to keep guessing, oh, this is what's going to happen. We have no idea. And whatever's going to happen, I will be there with my selfie stick, my cell phone, my camera, and my microphone, trying to create content and try to make people laugh.
Please go to Nate Silver's office. Speaking of guessing what's going to happen, his latest guess this morning was Nate Silver says that there is a 55% chance the Democrats will keep the Senate.
Well, I mean, he's usually about 7 points off, so that's about right. Now, for real, if you look at the last 4 election cycles, if you include midterms, he's been about 6 to 7 points off.
Wow. Okay.
And it's, to be fair, it's not him. Like, he's trying to reflect what's happening in all the polls.
Okay.
And trying to massage it in a way that actually reflects reality, but even he can't do it, because it's like, if he published the shit that was real, people would be like, get the fuck out of here. Like, there's no way the polls are that far off. And then the election happens and everyone's like, oh, shit.
Well, June 30th, he had it at 47%. Okay. We're a month later, essentially, and now he's got it at 55%.
What is this?
That's a big swing.
This is like a fucking, like a weird internet quote that doesn't make any sense. It's just, it's fucking word salad bullshit.
Yeah.
It is. It's nothing. It's like, 55%. It's like ESPN's fucking rankings for, what was it called? FPI or whatever, some bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a fake stat.
Yeah.
Because this is the problem. It's like, if you idolize a politician, if you think like, oh, well, we got more Republicans, and idolizing a politician is like thinking the stripper actually likes you. These politicians are the first people that will give $80 billion to Ukraine, but even the Republicans will. Yeah, we have major issues here in America. We have rising inflation. The cost of gas is rising. People are struggling. The middle class cannot afford to buy a home because the Chinese are buying so much land here in America, rising the price. You have BlackRock buying all these houses. The American dream is not even affordable anymore. And we're giving hundreds of billions of dollars to the Ukraine so Vladimir Zelensky can do a Vogue photo shoot. So my point being is, like, it doesn't matter if there's Republicans in there. It doesn't matter if there's leftists in there. They all try to appease the globalist agenda, because this is not even a conspiracy. We're being run by multinational corporations. If you're Halliburton, if you're Pfizer, if you're Apple Computers, you are basically making America weaker in order to gain global dominance. The same reason why in China, the Foxconn studios where Apple makes their iPhone, they have nets, suicide nets, because they pay their employees so little and they jump off the roof so much they had to put nets to stop them. And when you confront them about it, instead of making the phones here in America and charging more money for it, they keep all of our industry in China, which the Industrial Revolution is what made America great. The idea that they're going to take us off fossil fuels and make us all go on electric vehicles that are charged by fossil fuels is all done in order to make us weaker and less strong. So that's my problem. And these conservatives on the right, they're going to go with the climate change stuff too. And I'm not saying that humans don't even have an effect on the climate. I'm just saying it's not our fault that I like a gas or diesel engine. But they're going to take away all of our freedom. They're going to take all of our rights. So we're on a battery. And so that these multinational corporations can donate to these politicians, and the politicians do whatever the companies say. They don't do what we say. They don't listen to us because we don't pay their bills. So So that's the problem, is we're being run by literal corporations on both sides of the aisle. The same people that love the military-industrial complex, those are the same people that said they had weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East. Yet they spend trillions of dollars to lose a war to the Taliban from guys that were in Toyotas, and they didn't find any weapons of mass destruction. So for me, it doesn't matter if you're right or left. The left wing and the right wing is on the same crooked bird, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's why I've got a brand called APAC. All politicians are cunts. And I think,
I like
it's a
that.
little aggressive, but, what you're saying is we talk about this all the time. Companies want to enter the foreign market, whether it's a tech company, whether it's Hollywood. Like 4 of the 8 major Hollywood studios are now owned by Chinese conglomerates.
Yeah,
NBA.
NBA.
Yeah. They want to enter the foreign market, China or whomever it is. So instead of America doing what it's historically done throughout the 20th century, actually, which is drag other countries upward towards our level of ethics, now these multinational corporations will pay lobbyists to convince politicians to do these deals with the devil. And now here we are, right? Like China's buying up farmland and fucking real estate. They're stealing our IP. They hack us 3,500 times per month for that shit. And Saudi Arabia, who fucking, I've been bitching a lot about Trump lately. He's like, you can't be America first and then do a deal with the goddamn Saudi government.
Dude,
Are you fucking
Trump
kidding
is
me?
as crooked as they come, dude. And I like Trump for some of the stuff he did, but dude, Trump is as crooked as they come. Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, was selling us out. Dude, he's doing business with the Saudis. And then let's talk about this. We don't want to get too crazy, but 9/11 was supposedly done by 18 Saudi Arabian terrorists. And then we went to Iraq and we went to Afghanistan. My point being is they're mad about Jamal Khashoggi. I'm still pretty mad about the 9/11 Saudi Arabians. So we should never be doing business with them. Trump can be bought and sold just like the rest of them. That's my whole point. Is he better than Biden? Yes. But dude, if you give enough money, these guys will put on they put a Saudi Arabian hat on and do a Saudi Arabian dance. They don't care, because all that matters is dollar and cents to these people in power.
They should at least be funny about it though. Like when all the lefty dum-dums put on the Kente garb and knelt in the Capitol. Yeah. Man, if Trump and like the Republicans would put on like Saudi Arabian dress and kneel in the Capitol, how fucking funny would that be?
It would have been the best. The absolute fucking best.
At least if you're going to be a piece of shit, at least make it entertaining for everybody.
Yeah, right? Like you should dress up your turtle like Mitch McConnell. You know?
Yeah, well.
I like that. Yeah. Okay, but what do you guys think about the LIV golf tournament? And they won't sign John Daly. So I would have said I like the LIV, but John Daly wants to play and would say he would take a discounted rate, only like $50 million, and they won't sign John Daly. So that's why I'm anti-LIV right now.
Is that true? Hang on, Delco, is that true? Because now I'm pissed off about it. If that's true, now I'm pissed.
That sounds right.
Yeah, Daly's he's an associate of ours, I guess you might say.
Yeah, he's on the show a lot. We love Daly. We'll ask him.
He's the best.
We'll ask him next month. We're doing a gig with him next month in Nashville. We'll ask him about that because, now that you mention it, shit, I would tune in just for Daly on a fucking week-to-week basis.
The golf
guys, type. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, the golf.com headline is John Daly begged Greg Norman for a spot on LIV Golf.
I'm surprised they didn't give it to him. If you're looking at Patrick Reed versus fucking John Daly.
I'll tell you why not. Here's why not. You guys ready?
Yeah.
So John Daly would take that $50 million and find some way to use it to conduct a terrorist attack against Saudi Arabia. And I think they know that. It would be him and Kid Rock flying planes into Saudi buildings. That's
I think
what
he
it would
has
be.
beef with Greg Norman, to be honest.
Really?
Well, I mean,
did he beat Greg Norman back in the day?
No, Greg Norman's just a bitch, man.
Yeah, Greg Norman.
Nobody likes him.
Well, he's a bitch, shark, right? but he lost to a bunch of people in majors, and I know Daly won. Did he edge him out of a British Open or something?
Daly only won the one major, right?
No, he won 2.
He won 2.
What was the other one?
He has a PGA and a
British he won the fucking PGA.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think about how great he is, and he is great. But I did not hear that story.
Tour forever.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing with Daly, though, is, dude, I was listening to a Howard Stern interview the other day where he was on Howard. He was talking about, John Daly, he only plays the slot machines, and that he plays sometimes the $1,000 spin, $10,000 spin slot machines are the highest one in the high roller room. And there's times where he said he lost $7 million and that he won $11 million in runs on slot machines. So John Daly is an American legend. He's probably one of the coolest Americans to ever come. I think they tracked him on a recent tournament. They said he drank 18 Diet Cokes and smoked 24 cigarettes and didn't have one bottle of water the entire tournament.
Well, we can tell you our experience. So
fish fucking water.
Exactly.
So don't drink that.
Exactly.
I agree with that.
No need for that. But I saw, so the last tournament we did with him last year, he drank an entire 12-pack of Coors Light. This was before hole 9 because we were sitting on hole 9 for the interview. And then a 22-ounce, one of those styrofoam wrapper cups that you would drink out of for scissorp. And that was full of vodka, no ice, all the way to the top. That was gone, and then he hit a ball out of Ray Cashcare's mouth.
Out of his mouth, yeah. It was room temperature,
$10,000.
room temperature, unmixed vodka at 9 o'clock in the morning in the middle of summer.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, but
hot
after
as
12 beers, that tastes like water. You know that. And dude, John Daly is just a machine. The fact that he even won those tournaments, I think he was hungover when he won the British Open, I believe. So, you know, he's a machine. He's like the greatest. He's the greatest athlete, better than Tiger Woods, in my opinion.
I agree, because that night around 11:30 p.m., he took the stage and sang Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer, and the place erupted. And that was after a full day of boozing starting at 9 a.m.
It was also after Lee Greenwood saying, God bless him.
I got emotional.
Or proud to be an American.
Yeah, I got emotional that night. I got emotional.
And in the Howard Stern interview, he said, well, Howard, the reason why I drink so much and I don't do well at impressions, he's like, well, you know, golf was invented because there was 18 shots in a bottle. You're supposed to take a shot every hole. He's like, you're meant to play drunk. Because Howard Stern was like, why didn't you ever just stop drinking and focus on your game? You're so naturally good. He was talking about how his son practices more than he does, and that practicing makes him worse. That's exactly what John Daly said. He said the more he practices, the worse he gets. And talking about how, golf is meant to be played drunk because back in the day in Ireland or wherever it was invented, Scotland, you would take a shot of whiskey every hole. So John Daly is just, I can't, there's not enough good things I could say about John Daly.
One of the best in the biz, and so are you, my friend. Entertaining as shit today. Now's the point in the show we get to the Drinkin' Bro of the Week, which is someone who has inspired you or helped you become the person you are today. I have a feeling I know who it is, but who would you like to give the Drinkin' Bro of the Week to?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but Andy Kaufman is my comedic hero. I loved him. You know, the end of his career, they had the movie Man on the Moon, where Jim Carrey played him. But what he did at the end of his career is he would wrestle women, and he lost a lot of fame for that. He got fired from SNL. But basically what he was doing, he was kind of foreshadowing what's going on now. You look at Leah Thomas as a transgender swimmer who swam on the men's team for 3 years, then got to take hormone therapy and was ranked 457th as a man. But as Leah was the #1 ranked swimmer in multiple events and won an NCAA championship. So really what he was highlighting is like, if women really want to be equal, then they should have to go against the men. And now they're basically doing the reverse thing of that. They're letting men compete against the women. So I think he was a comedic genius, and his comedic specialty was blending the line of reality and fiction. And that's what I try to do with my content. I want you to think that even though I'm trolling or being fake, I want you to think it's real, because I want you to ask the question, is this real? Is this really what he feels like? Then you have to go research it. Then you have to make your decision. That's why I do the culture jam. That's why I pretend to be the fake leftist. That's why I sometimes wear tin masks. So people are like, would somebody really wear tin masks? Because he is my comedic role model, and that's what he was a specialist at, was blending the line of reality and fiction. So even though it's Tucker Carlson's my biological dad, Alex Jones is, kind of, he's like my drunk uncle. Yeah, but it's Andy Kaufman is my role model.
I was going to say Tucker Carlson, but that's a great one, and that perfectly encompasses what you do. Tell everybody where they can find you. I know you got, 250,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm surprised you're able to be on YouTube. We've had trouble with it, but
I just got a strike the other day for a video that was privated. It was been private forever. Dude, YouTube is insane, and I hate it. But I'm on Twitter, Instagram. If you can't find me, you're not looking very hard, because I'm all over the internet this day and age.
Perfect, and we're looking forward to your show on the Blaze. If something happens to it, just hit us up, dude. We'd love to have you here. One of the most entertaining shows we've ever had. We appreciate your time, sir. For Alex Stein, D'Anthony Holloway, I'm Ross Patterson. This is the Drinkin' Bros Podcast. Good night, everyone.